Hello and welcome back, folks. Aaron here once more again, and today for all of you another figure review, as we're going to be doing the review of this Revoltech figures version of Ren Tohsaka from the 2004 Facing Night anime created by Unfathomable. This right here is actually going to be my third Revoltech figure added to my figure collection right here, as I do have a little bit of experience with Revoltech figures, so I do know the figure line as well. They actually do create a bunch of other figure lines, so if you do want to know, they actually do a lot of, besides other anime figures, they also do have a lot of also comic book figures as well, so comic book characters as well. I know one of the more predominant ones I do know off the top of my head, some of the spider ones, because I used to actually have one of those spider ones all the way back when I used to be a kid. But they also do a lot of anime ones as well. Every particular one, to go look it up. But without further ado, let's dive into the unboxing of the Ren Tohsaka figure from Revoltech. And we are back. And before we do the whole unboxing, let's do actually an overlook of the figure of the box as well. Not bad at all. This actually is an older box from what's it called, from Revoltech. I will say this right here, as this is actually one of the older ones. Pretty sure this is one of their first generation models, I'm going to be honest. Not going to be too sure. I really do need to look back for Revoltech when it comes to like series. But Revoltech, at least when it comes to like creating like the female character bodies, did make a whole new like system for it, which is called the Elf system, which actually upgrades the whole body to be a little like much more maneuverable, kind of like a little bit with Figma right here. As I'm pretty sure for Revoltech, Figma is a competitor there, so it's always good to have competition. Right here you can see the upgrades that they did with the joints for the body for more fluid movement, which actually is pretty great. Sometimes, which actually I think is almost comparable to Figma right here when it comes to like movements. You can see right there with their Revolution. They also have the same thing with their joints for the legs here as well. I can see right here, which is actually not bad at all. It's always good to have different types of movements for figures. And over here you can see all the many poses that Ren can do. A lot of these poses you can see right here that she did back in the 2004 Facing Night anime right here. But without further ado, folks, let's go with the unboxing for this, which I will give this. It's already kind of open already. So I did do like a little bit overlook review for this. So and since it's like one more easier box, which I kind of do like, just slide it out. And it's already empty right here. And the first thing that kind of fall out first for this is going to be her stand right here, which is actually, no, I actually kind of do like the stand for this. I should do just slides in right there. Let's do this first before we do anything else. Slides in right there. It's actually also one of those like little clay one stands here where it just this right here just grabs onto the waist and you're able to pose it right there, which is actually not bad. Debating whether I prefer this over the Figma ones, because the Figma ones are just are just 3mm pegs, which just go into the figure, which is not bad at all. The plastic gets removed pretty easily, and then you got the figure all out. We have the jewel sword right here, which I forget the name of this, but the amount of times I see this when I'm playing Fate Grand Order, mainly as a craft assist that you just basically just use for just that you just basically dismantle afterwards, just for like materials and whatnot. It's pretty nice. I know the jewel sword for the anime to fight off against the bad guys. You have different hands right here. That's what she comes here, besides the figure herself, which we will see. Actually, let me do a little bit of camera adjusting right there. So I'm pretty sure this is going to all fall off once I angle this a little bit. So we have Ren by herself. Yep, yeah, that's kind of figured. Let's take Ren off herself. That's actually pretty. Oh wow, she actually is pretty heavy. She actually has a little bit of weight on her. Pretty sure this is like just top torso body right here having pretty much weight. Not bad at all. Overall, the sculpting for this is pretty nice. It's right here for his face right here. That's 2004 anime created for, that's 2004 Ren right there. So her hair, her style too. Overall, not bad at all. Movement and everything was pretty great. Arms, well, we'll do like the articulation there in a bit when we do this, but I just want to feel how this feels with her. Overall, not bad at all. We'll do like a little bit more of the movement once we get into like the articulation for this. But overall review of the figure so far is pretty nice. Sculpting looks good. All the color, everything else looks pretty great. Everything else looks pretty nice. Not bad at all. And let's also go with all the accessories that she comes with here. Hopefully she doesn't fall off. Trying to angle her. Nah, she's gonna fall. Okay. Nah, she can stand on her own. That's fine. So let's try to grab all of the other stuff that are going to fall off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it she comes with. Now let's go with all the accessories right now that she comes with right now. And we're back, and this is everything the Ren Tohsaka figure comes with. Overall, not that much stuff that actually would be honest. She comes with just 6 manipulator hands. As you can see right here, multiple different hands right here. We have the ones with their jewel hands. We got actually some open palm hands to hold the jewel blade as well. And then we have some regular closed fist hands. These are I'm pretty sure these are just like little pose hands. They're kind of like doing like some sweet stuff right there. It's kind of weird how these hands are, the hands are kind of posed and whatnot. And then we have the regular, I think just regular open palm hands, which she already has on her hands that we see right there. That's pretty much all the accessories that she comes with, which is not that much. But for the price that I did get this figure on, it's not that bad at all. Which, let's be honest, when compared to the Figma figures and how much they cost now, this actually was pretty cheap, like around 30 bucks overall. So it's not that bad at all. Then we have the dual blade as well. This is actually right here. I'm pretty sure this is what they used to defeat the final, well, besides Gilgamesh. I'm pretty sure they used against Zolkin to defeat him. They had to use this to defeat his immortality or something. I kind of forget. It's been a long time since I've seen the original Fate Stay Night. And I really don't read the lores for a lot of the 3-star CEs, which this is one of them. I mean, this one's actually pretty good CE for starters, but it's one I kind of don't use a lot because, well, my account for FGO is actually pretty good. And then we have Rin Tohsaka, which overall, let's do a little bit overview for the figure, which is actually pretty nice. We got the whole, there we go, we got the camera right here, we got the face right here. Overall, pretty nice detail on the face right here. Overall, not bad at all. Overall, figure is pretty good. Sculpting is pretty great. Should read on the legs. And I will say this, compared to like when it comes to Figmas, the Revoltech joints are going to be different. We'll talk about more of the joints for Revoltech in the second once we do like the whole articulation. But overall, the figure actually looks pretty nice. It's a little bit much more different than what we're used to when it comes to since we kind of do Figmas more overall. But overall, pretty good figure. Looks pretty great. All detail coloring is pretty nice. The articulation, the sculpting is all pretty good. Overall, I think pretty good figure. Now, without that out of the way, let's go dive right in with the articulation of the figure itself. And we're back with articulation. And actually, I'm going to be starting off here with when it comes to Revoltech, they're going to be a little bit much more different when it comes to the joints over when it comes to Figmas. And I'm going to be honest, a little bit much more looser, even with my experience with the ones that I've gotten so far. Like when it comes to like the heads right here, let's go with the heads right here with sculpting right here. The head is technically on a peg joint, so technically it can spin around, so can spin around a little bit. But like I said, what I meant by peg joint, this is what I meant right here. It is on a single peg joint right here, which can spin around. That's what I mean. Like unlike, I mean, it's not that much different from Figmas because Figmas also on peg joints too on display on the hands, which we have seen when we swap out the faceplates for them. When I was doing, I think the Nero one. Her hair right here is actually on ball joint, peg point swivel joints too. So basically her ponytails can go up and down and spin around, so that's not bad. So her hair has movement, which is actually pretty nice. It is pretty good. Granted, unlike with Figmas, the Revoltech only have like one faceplate, which is kind of sad, but you know, it's fine. When it comes to the arm joints, which actually we'll take off the head right now, it's actually a little bit kind of disappointing because it kind of reminded me a little bit with Gundams, especially with now some of the entry grades. They're on what's it called, these peg joints as well, so not that much articulation. It can't really go all the way up as much as we want. It can spin around, which is actually not bad. But like when it comes to like, I can like move around like this much. But when it comes to like trying to go up and down like a lot, it's not going to be able to. It's able to move as much as that peg joint's able to go up and down. So it is limited in motion, which is understandable. This is technically an older figure when it was developed. But yeah, like I meant right there, this is on like all these peg joints. Also, the backside for this is removable, so you can actually see. Let's actually do this right now. Take off both arms. Let me show you. It's kind of like a model kit in a sense, but let me show you. Kind of reminds me of some of my older Gundams. This is how it's designed on the backside too. It's called the peg joints, basically put up there. Kind of reminded me with Gunpla a little bit when it comes to like putting that one going to the torso. Also, the other thing too about the torso too. That's also on the peg joint too, so it does have these ab joints too for the legs too that goes all the way in there, all the backside too. So it does, because this entire thing for the torso right here is all like rubber, so rubber plastic, so it's able to bend motion and whatnot, so you can do like ab joints and whatnot. So it's actually not bad at all. It's a little bit hollow there, but that's kind of how it's to be expected by these, which is not bad. I kind of do like this. Though I will say the more openness of the fact that the backside can be open like that, so you gotta be careful. So this thing can be easily popped out and everything can fall apart pretty easily. And like I was talking about the joints, when I was talking about the joints too, the joints are, when it comes to like articulation with the arm movement, it's kind of limited because they're kind of peg joints, and peg joints, especially since if you've seen my Gunpla reviews of some of my older Gunplas with the peg joints, they're kind of limited in their movement, so they're able to move, but not that much. And here is kind of a little bit much more limited than I want. And like I mentioned before, on these elbow joints, they're on these kind of weird single joints right here. So they're basically going to be able to go all the way up, all the way down. That's pretty much it. And like I mentioned before, these are kind of like weird elbow joints. Kind of remind me of some of the other Gunpla ones that I've reviewed before. Kind of like it was the difference between like the old 001s, where like the first, like the third gen Gundams or 4th gen Gundams when it comes to their joints. Kind of like that. The hands right here are kind of like on these ball joints too. So basically, they're able to peg off there, no problem at all, and they're able to. I can see, you can hear right there, able to do this. Kind of like you can hear that. Ooh, let's move this so you can see a little bit better. These are kind of their own peg joints too. Kind of reminded me of the first gen Figmas, because kind of the first gen Figmas kind of do that as well with their arm joints. But overall, it's not that bad. What's called it is kind of the Revoltech thing when it comes to their joints. This is how they're kind of designed. It's not that bad at all, but it kind of reminds me of the older, what's it called, Exia joints from all the way back. And like I said before, the ab joints, because of the way it's designed and this is all being rubber, it can go up and down, it can spin around, so that's not bad at all. It does have the movement, so it does have a little bit of ab joint, so it can do that. Just gotta be careful not to break it and have that fall off. Put Rin's head back so she can be all full together. And on the legs right here, they're kind of on these peg joints too, so technically speaking, she can just gotta be careful because the legs kind of swivel too. They're kind of like these weird bolt joints too, as well, so they're able to go all the way down so she can do these. Oh, like I mentioned before, like the peg joints right there. So they're on these weird peg joints too, so technically speaking, it's... Ooh. Hopefully it didn't... There we go. So they're able to bend... I don't... Give me a second. I'm trying to remember if she can do... If she's able to do... ball joints and whatnot. Because I'm reading the instruction points in this, and I'm pretty sure she can. I'm pretty sure when it comes to legs, they're able to go all the way down like that. So do a little bit more movement like this. Now she's able to go all the way down like this. The legs are able to spin and bend around. Go all the way up. There. Bend all the way down there, which is actually not bad. This works. I feel like this works. The way these joints are worked, I kind of feel these work a little bit more better on the legs than they kind of do on the arms. Kind of wish... I won't see this because I will show you some of the other Revoltech ones that I do have. I mentioned when it comes to like the arms. I'm pretty sure I have a newer one too. That kind of like modifies the legs, the arm joint problem. And then like on the feet right here, they're kind of on these ball joints, peg joints, like I mentioned before right here. So these right here can just go up and down, no problem at all. What's it called? Let me see if I can. Yeah, so they can go up and down. So you can hear that movement. You can hear the cracking too of it. That's the other thing too about this. Like I said, Revoltech is like a whole different type of like figure line too. So like the joints for all these are always going to be different, and they're going to be much more cracking because the way they're being a little bit much more sturdier, which I kind of do like. What's it called? I'm trying to figure out the legs thing because I'm pretty sure the legs you can spin them around. I'm just making sure I don't break the figure because I don't want to break this, as I just barely got this today. So she's able to do that much of splits. She's able to go all the way. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without trying to break the figure. That's the other thing too. I don't want to break this. But overall, she's able to do pretty good amount of poses. No problem at all. There's the way her joints are molded and whatnot. It's actually doing pretty well. At least when it comes to like the legs can actually go all the way down. Just when it comes to like the whole movement thing, kind of like just got to be careful not to. Be careful when I like doing like the whole upper joints and whatnot, as these are a little bit much more loose. But it's like a yay name in my book. I kind of don't like peg systems when it comes to like most figures. We'll see this when I do like the whole comparisons to like some of the Figma ones. But overall, articulation is not that bad. What's it called? It could be better. I mean, this is a different thing, as this technically is an older figure, so the joints here are kind of like much more older, to be honest. But overall, articulation isn't too bad. It's able to do pretty good amount of movements. Legs are still able to go bend down all the way, no problem at all. It's able to do some pretty good poses. That's what we want with her. Oof. But now what's called, there is another thing to that. She will be popping off some parts and whatnot. I will say that. So that's kind of like a downside because of the way these peg joints are kind of designed. But overall, not that bad. I guess when it comes to articulation, I would give it like a 5-6 out of 10. It's good, but it could be better. Now let's go with side screens with other figures that I have lying around. Ooh, And once again, the arm keeps popping off. Come on, just sit there. Oh no, now she just wants to fall. Yeah, there we go. And we were back now to do size comparisons, and I did have to change what's called my stand base because I'd get something a little bit more stable because we're the figures. So starting off was when it comes to size comparisons, I was going to say we're going to be doing with the Revoltech figures. As you see right there, I do have my Yoko Linter figure from Gurren Lagann. It's actually the Revoltech figure as well. It's actually my first Revoltech figure as well. As you can see right here, Yoko still uses the older system. And the thing I'm going to show is the third Revoltech figure I do have. The third one is actually the upgrade because what's called Revoltech ended up scrapping the entire frame of this afterwards and swapping out to a new frame that's kind of like more similar to Figma's, which we'll see in a bit, with the new line figure that I have right now. But I can see right here, Yoko Linter still uses like the old frames on the arm joints, still uses the those old single frames right here, especially the legs as well. Still use that silver leg one. It's a little much more tough because I really don't take her out of this shelf a lot. Overall, so articulation and everything else, sculpting is still pretty great for the figure. Just what's it called when it comes to like the joint stuff. Granted, she's a little bit much more free in movement than with Ren right here, which when we were doing the whole articulation and whatnot, the Ren's actually a little bit much more loose because it is technically one of their first frame of this figure line. Which, if you know, when it comes to like first generation figures of anything, that sometimes the first generation there is going to be good hit or miss. And with Ren, she's doing pretty well, but what's called when you start moving her with joints and whatnot, that's when she becomes a little bit loose. Trying to keep Yoko standing, which is kind of being difficult right here, even on a solid surface right now. Just the reason why I swapped out before this solid surface. That's fine. I'm just going to leave Yoko over here in the back. And now what I mean about, what's it called, new figure line. This right here is Elena from the Queen's Blade series. This right here is what I'm talking about. Basically, Revoltech ended up scrapping off the old L frame in favor for, I forget what this frame is called, but basically it's similar to Figma's when it comes to like the whole joints and whatnot. Everything's been modeled onto this. The arms are also modeled up here. Now they have like the little ball joints right here that Figma tends to use, which is actually a little bit much more better, superior, especially with also you're using kind of like these ball joints too for the arms as well, which makes it much more better. Now it's able to go up and down, no problem at all. That's the thing kind of we want to see with figures nowadays, being a little bit much more posable movement, which we want. The older L frame kind of restricted that, which we did see when we're doing the articulation for Renner a little bit earlier. Legs too as well. The legs can actually go a little bit more out. I forgot how to do this. I need to go see the box for this. But yeah, the old generation of the L frame that Revoltech used, they ended up scrapping afterwards. That's why the frame for the Elena box right here kind of says basically between 2004 all the way to 2010. Afterwards, they scrapped it off for the new frame, which we do see right here after they kind of took some of the inspirations from Figma's line, which I think is kind of a little bit better. Overall, yeah, that is basically the switch right here for Revoltech between the old generation and the new generation, which I think the new generation is a little bit better, especially size comparisons here, because it actually shrunk down before. The figures are actually pretty big and tall and sometimes inconsistent, which okay, there we go. Because for Ren's actually around the 6-inch mark, because when they made Revoltech, they also kind of did too was because they also do a lot of combo characters. So, and a lot about figures and toys are like around 6-inch figures. So you had to make it around the 6-inch. Same thing with Yoko as well. She's around that line too. Lena right here is like around the 5-inch mark, which is consistent to now when it comes to like female characters right nowadays. When it comes to like anime figures, so that's basically the difference in size comparison. So going from my two Revoltech figures I do have, since we were doing a little bit of study between the older Revoltech and newer Revoltech, let's go with what I was mainly wanting to do this video for, is to show between Revoltech's Ren and the Figma Ren that I do have right here, which I will do a review of Figma Ren eventually one day. And the difference between both of them is considered you can see the difference between Revoltech, old Revoltech versus Figma right here when it comes to joints and all that, with Ren right here showing off the new articulation, because this technically is slightly a little bit more newer Ren. With the old articulations, detail movements a little bit much more posable. Also, the fact that she also can swap the face base too. Right here, this is also Ren in attack mode because she has her ability to go with the Gander, which is with stones. And actually, bringing back the Elena figure, when I was talking about when it comes to like the articulation, the changes that Revoltech did between trying to copy Figma to be a little bit much more much more a little bit better with posability of movement, which I should think they actually did pretty well. When it comes to size comparison, that I will say, though, I will need to get a little bit more Revoltech figures, which is what I'm going to be doing later down the line, so I can compare a little bit more between Revoltech and Figma. But yeah, with Ren being, with the female figures for Figma, usually around the 5-inch mark, and this Ren here from Revoltech being still older figure, so it's around the 6-inch mark, so that's the only difference right here. And then going from Ren, we have, if I can find him, her servant, which also another one too I want to do too, is Archer. They're basically the same size. Actually, no, I think Ren might be a little bit taller than Archer. Maybe. Coke himself. I kind of also want to do this too. Like, see, because now Archer's in a world of trouble because now he has 2 Rens to deal with instead of 1. Doing the size comparison towards his Revoltech's Ren being still slightly a little bit taller. I think it's also because the proportions for Revoltech's older Revoltech's Ren being a little bit much more different proportions than when it comes to like Figma ones. And then going from basically more Figmas. Actually, because I kind of want to do this because I do have Saber around here. We're actually going to go with older generations, especially when it comes to Figma, because this right here is actually Gen 1 Saber, or first Figma, first or 1.0 Figma Saber. Actually right here, very tiny, very small. But this Saber right here is actually original generation Figma compared to like the new ones. So I can show you guys like the difference between Revoltech's original generation and Figma's original generation. Already back when they started making figures. Like when it comes to like how they're all detail-wise. Granted, Figma hasn't changed. They modified their joints right here because Saber still use like the older peg joints you can see right there for the arms. I know there's not like a review for this, but going off with Artorio, Saber. I know we're not doing reviews for this, but I was going to say right here, they kind of modified the ball joints for these, for the newer ones, which we kind of did see a little bit of this when I was showing you the Queen's Blade Elena figure as well. But yeah, what's it called? Saber still being small regardless in any size. Even her Artorio version. Actually, no, I think her Artorio version actually is almost slightly taller. Just slightly. Just slightly taller than regular Saber, but still technically short. And going off, I should just go with some of my Dragon Ball figures. Because if we're doing all size comparisons, we have Super Saiyan Trunks. As like I said, most of my Dragon Ball figures are basically around 6-inch marks. Let's go with some of my Tohsaka. Well, the only Tohsaka right now that I have right now at the moment. My White Dino Ranger right here. Also 6-inch figure as well. Actually pretty much the same size. Ren actually is basically, like I said before, Ren's basically around the 6-inch marks, but basically it's basically the same. Go with some Gunpla figures. Actually, at least should be at least tall around here. Let's go with my Narrative Type C pack, which actually is basically around the same size since the Narrative is actually should be taller because this technically is based on the new Gundam. And then last but not least, the channel's mascot, my Gundam Estrella, which still is very tiny and short compared to Revoltech's Ren. But bro, yeah. When it comes to like at least size, when it comes to comparisons, Revoltech Ren's actually a little bit much more taller. It's basically regular size. We're gonna go with regular toys, but when it comes to like some of the anime figures like Figmas and whatnot, she's actually gonna be a little bit bigger than normal size because it is taking an older figure. Without further ado, let's go with final thoughts. And with that out of the way, folks, that is it for the review for the Revoltech figure of Ren Tohsaka from the Face of the Night 2004 anime series. Overall, the figure's not that bad of a figure. It's actually overall pretty good. Sculpting, articulation, for sculpting, painting of the figure actually looks pretty nice. Accessories, not that much, just basically the 8 different hands and the 1 blade, and the figure itself, overall not bad. Plus the stand as well, as you can see right here as well, overall pretty good. Especially for the price here as well, because I did get this like for $30, so it was not that bad for the price for everything that comes with this. Unlike when it comes to Figmas, and their basically lack of basic accessories and overcharging for a lot, which is a lot. What's called the only thing that's a little bit downside is when it comes to articulation. Its joints and movements, yes, it does have decent articulation, but when it comes like for the upper torso, when it comes with those peg joints on the arms, it kind of does leave it for a limitation right there, which I did when I was showing off with the other Revoltech figures I do have, where they did modify the joints later down the line. That's the reason why this old frame style kind of got left in the past. Overall, it's not that bad. I gave it like a 5, 6 out of 10. It still has a good range of motion of articulation, but just not as much as we would expect, which a lot of new figures nowadays. Overall, still pretty good figure, especially for the price that I got around, which was like around 30 bucks. Overall, still pretty good figure. If you do see this, I would pick it up. It's still a decently good figure to add to your collection, especially if you're a Fate Stay Night fan or you're a fan of Ren. I would pick this up. But yeah, that was out of the way, folks. That is it for the review for the Revoltech Ren Tohsaka from the 2004 Fate Stay Night. If you did like the video, please consider dropping like, share, and subscribe. I always do appreciate, folks. And as always, have a nice day. This is I, Pern, signing out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.